Episode 8, Trev's Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. You know that. If you're tuning in, if you're watching, it's too sweet. Anyway, if you follow the Facebook page, or at least the trade page on Facebook, you'll know I put up a status saying I wanted to do a video last night. Well, that didn't kind of happen. I got to watching season 4 of Veronica Mars with the wife, so I was kind of distracted there, but I mean to make up for that right now. Today, I'm doing another hockey history video. So for today's video, I wasn't sure which way I wanted to go. I was thinking this one or Manon Rayon. If you know who she is, let me know if you want to see that one. But I figured today I'd concentrate on the Eric Lindros Draft Drama. I don't know what else to call it, really. I mean, it eventually resulted into the trade, but everything that came before it was just plain drama. Let's talk about it. So first off, some background. First, about the Big E, Eric Lindros. He was dubbed the next one, being someone who was going to be a possible successor to Gretzky. And I mean, let's not lie here. He had the size of Lemieux, he had the skill of Gretzky, but he was a power forward. He played his junior career for the Oshawa Generals of the OHL, but, and here's where we should have caught on from the beginning, he was originally drafted by the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, but refused to play for them. So they traded him to Oshawa with less drama. And that involved, the OHL changing some territory rules or letting players decide if they wanted to play closer to home and all that fun stuff. So, we should have saw it coming. Background on the Quebec Nordiques. Between 89-90 and 90-91, they won a combined 26 games. And this was when they had an 80-game schedule. So 160 games, they won 26. That's bad. This was before draft lottery even existed, so if you were last overall in a 21-team league, you were guaranteed the first overall pick. They'd already had the 89 and the 90 pick, where they had just selected Matt Sundin and Owen Nolan, respectively. First Swede, first Irishman. And they also had Joe Sakic coming up in the farm system, and he actually made the team in the second year. Second year he made the team. But everything was going good for them up until draft day. Now, going back to Lindros, before he was even drafted, it was pretty much consensus. The Nordiques were going to suck, and they were going to get first overall pick again. Now, cue history. Lindros said, I ain't playing for Quebec. Ain't no way. And it wasn't the case of, well, depending on who you ask, some people say it was a case of he didn't want to play in Quebec. Being an Ontario boy, I mean, you can understand the Ontario-Quebec rivalry. But he said it was more along the lines of going to play in an English-speaking area that would present him with more endorsement opportunities. You got to remember, back then, NHL players, when they got endorsements, they were good endorsements. They weren't just like, oh, hey, Papa John's Pizza, buy it because I said so. They actually got good endorsements. I mean, Gretzky lived off endorsements for pretty much his entire career, not counting what he got paid, of course. But this all took us to draft day. So the 91 entry draft was held June 22nd, 1991. This is notable not just for the Lindros drama, but it was also the San Jose Sharks' first draft. So, what better way to have a good draft than one that's memorable, right? Despite the warning Lindros gave, they went ahead and drafted him anyway. And like a true professional, instead of putting on the jersey, he put it in his arm, shook the hands, and went about his business and didn't play for Quebec. Apparently, according to source, he figured if he asked Quebec for $3 million annual salary right out the gate, they'd trade him. They didn't do anything. They didn't entertain the idea or consider the notion. They just didn't do anything. So he just went back to Oshawa, played junior for another year, and went to go to the Albertville games in '92 to represent Team Canada. And they didn't win gold, so that's beside the point. At least he got a free trip to France. But apparently also, according to other sources, Quebec did offer him a 10-year contract worth at least $50 million in March of '92. Now, some people have said that's fake news, that didn't actually happen. But according to the source, who was basically around for all the negotiations, this did happen. And he still said no. I mean, I might not be smart in the ways of money, but I at least know 10 years, 50 mil, I can swallow up some agitations and take the money. But I guess, money doesn't mean as much as playing in an English-speaking community. But his reasons are his reasons. I mean, I'm not going to try and say, well, here's what I think he was thinking. That was his thought, and we should go with that. So by June '92, by the time draft day '92 rolls around, this has been a year. Quebec's already said they're engaged, or at least entertaining the idea of trading Lindros. Now, according to speculation, Toronto, Calgary, New Jersey, Philadelphia, and Detroit were all in the mix. Detroit even went as far as to offer Yzerman for Lindros. But the problem is, a lot of these teams and a lot of the players that were being offered had all said, no, I am not playing in Quebec. I want to play for a winner. Got to remember, Quebec sucked hard. So this takes us up to draft day '92. So June 20th, 1992, at the onset of the draft, the Nordiques entered into a verbal agreement with the Philadelphia Flyers to trade Lindros. The trade was contingent on Lindros agreeing to play in Philadelphia, and that's where the Nordiques gave permission to general manager Russ Farwell at the time to at least talk to him and say, hey, will you sign playing in Philadelphia? In which Lindros said, hey, that's acceptable. So the assurance was there, but within 80 minutes, not even an hour and a half after going into this verbal agreement, and the trade's not even finalized yet, Marcel Aubut, the president of the Nordiques, had second thoughts on the trade and entered into a verbal agreement with the New York Rangers to trade him there. This was more drama. The Flyers' offer before the actual trade was reported to include Mike Ricci, Rod Brindamore, Mark Recchi, Steve Duchesne, Ron Hextall, Dominic Russell, multiple first-round draft picks, and $15 million. The Rangers' offer was apparently Sergei Nemchinov, Tony Amonte, Alexei Kovalev, James Patrick, and either John Van Beesbrook or Mike Richter, as well as multiple first-round draft picks and $20 million in cash. So upon hearing that the Rangers had a deal with Quebec and not the Flyers having the deal with Quebec, the complaint was filed to the NHL. So after this became more drama, and this led to an arbitrator getting involved in this trade. It's the arbitrator named Larry Bertuzzi. Does the name sound familiar? It should. That's Todd's uncle. Larry Bertuzzi, a lawyer out of Toronto, held a 5-day hearing after the draft. We reviewed 400 pages of handwritten documentation and called 11 witnesses, including Eric Lindros. And by June 30th, Bertuzzi announced that he had determined that Quebec's agreement with the Flyers was enforceable, and with the call from Farwell to Lindros being the critical point in this trade being finalized. Bertuzzi also found that the Rangers had no wrongdoings in this, other than filing a complaint, but that isn't wrong at all. So they were off the hook. But the finalized trade ended up being Eric Lindros going to the Flyers for Ron Hextall, Steve Duchesne, Mike Ricci, Kerry Huffman, Peter Forsberg, remember that name, first round pick in '93, and $15 million plus future considerations. Those future considerations turned out to be Chris Neal, and a first-round pick in the 94 draft. So the Nordiques almost made off like bandits out of this deal. And all they had to do was let Lindros sit 1 year. But how did this affect everybody? Let's find out. So after everything was all said and done, Gil Stein, the president of the NHL at the time, indicated that the league would not take disciplinary action against Marcel Aubut. They should have, but they didn't. And the Rangers didn't challenge the arbitrator's decision, which is a good thing, because, I mean, when you know you don't have the initial deal, there's no sense in going back and saying, hey, well, we had it and they didn't, yada, yada, yada. But as of August 1st, 1992, all trades need to go through the league and get confirmed by all parties involved before they are considered consummated. I know that sounds weird, doesn't it? Lindros did sign with the Flyers. He signed a 5-year, $24 million contract, and as a rookie, earned $2 million. You got to remember, the highest paid player at that time was Wayne Gretzky. He was making $3 million. So Lindros got what he wanted, money in an English-speaking market. As for the teams themselves, well, the Nordiques made the playoffs in 92-93, which is the first time they'd made the playoffs since 87. So that's not bad. 6 years, they just happened to trade somebody who would have been your franchise at that point. 94, the New York Rangers, who got nothing out of all this, won the Stanley Cup. 95, the Nordiques moved to Colorado, became the Avalanche. The Avalanche. Ended up winning the Cup in 96, thanks to Peter Forsberg. The Flyers went to the Cup in 97 and got swept by Detroit. Lindros won no cups. He won a Hart Trophy. He got inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. No cups. No cups. Peter Forsberg won 2 cups in Colorado. The Rangers, well, they only went to the Cup in 2012 after that, well after the trade was long gone. As for Lindros' career itself, well, I mean, he didn't last in Philly for too long. He requested a trade in 2000, got traded in 2001 to the Rangers. It's like one of those things, when you're just there, it just does not leave. And they're just, the stigma, it just surrounds it, right? But either way, I mean, it changed a lot of things. Not as much as the Gretzky trade changed anything. I mean, it traded how entry drafts are perceived. I think after Lindros, there was only one guy who did something like that, but he did put the jersey on. That was Brian Berard. I already said he didn't care to play in Ottawa, but put the jersey on anyway and didn't play in Ottawa. He was traded before his rookie year. But, you know, with guys who have first overall hype or status, now they go through the interview process, and the first question is always asked, do you want to play here? Trades, yeah, go through NHL Central now. They go to the league says, hey, based on this and based on that it's a good trade, it's not a good trade, we got a problem here, whatever the case might be. But it changed a few things, and for the better or for the worse, you might be the judge. But I mean, for the Nordiques Avalanche franchise, it changed a lot of the good things. For the Flyers, well, I'm sure they would have loved the Cup. That was episode 8 of Trev's Hockey Show. I want to thank you for tuning in. Your viewership always means so much to me. Always has, always will, and I don't want you to ever forget that I do appreciate you for watching. You know what I would appreciate, though, is if you gave this video a thumbs up. And if you really want to help this channel get to 50 subs, hit that subscribe button. It's in one of those corners. Just tap that thing. You'll stay up to date with all the content I'm putting out. If you really want to, you can find Trev's Trade page on Facebook at Trev's Trade page. You can also find Trev TV on Facebook at Trev's TV. And you can also find Trev TV on Instagram at Rockstar Trev TV. So moving forward, well, again, we're still in off season, and I'm still thinking of a few ideas that I can put to the hockey show. I mean, there's a couple trade page videos coming up pretty soon. at least one that I know for sure, but that's not till the end of the month. I'm finalizing my division predictions, and I'm finalizing the hockey pool that me and Melissa will be doing. I would think, at least I'm leaning more towards when we do make our picks, it'll be a live video. So, I mean, once we're ready to do that, I'll definitely give you more of a heads up getting closer to, and we'll attack it from there. But either way, in the meantime and in between time, be on the lookout for more videos from Trev. Later.